We have a new patch inside of Pokemon Unite, and frankly, a lot of new stuff here for Pokemon Day. And the real question is, who won this patch and who lost this patch? Wouldn't it have been cool if it went win, lost. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw. Let's get into it. Into it? I was just watching Ender's stream, and now I just said Ender it. We have to start with the biggest winner of the patch, and that's without question Miraidon. Miraidon releasing into the game even more powerful than it was in the public test server means things are great, and I love to see Miraidon so much. It's so cool to see this legendary Pokemon inside of Pokemon Unite. Look, there's no question this Pokemon is cool. It is very good. It is way too good. It is a massive winner of this patch, and the only thing that can stop it is draft, which is a long ways away at 1400 master rank right now. Miraidon. Which makes our first loser of the patch us. Yeah, we all kind of lost with this patch. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think this is a relatively bad patch for Pokemon Unite, the biggest thing being Miraidon. I can kind of look past some other stuff, which we'll get to in a minute, but given that we have all the EX Pokemon back and all of them are pretty nuts, it's just not fun. And I don't want to dwell too much on it. I've already talked about it, but without question, we kind of lost this one. Let's talk about another loser that I did not expect. Loser? Crustle. Crustle actually is a weird one because Crustle is very, very good, but it seemed to get some priority for nerfs over other Pokemon that actually probably deserved it way, way more. Crustle, no question, could have used a little bit of a tune-up, and I actually don't think this X-Scissor change is terrible, but playing it inside of a match yesterday, you can really feel the damage difference on this Pokemon. I didn't expect it to feel so intense, but it actually was a pretty big change. Now, that being said, X-Scissor is still extremely strong. It's a crazy good stun. It pushes multiple enemies on the enemy team. It's still a great moveset, and I don't think Crustle's going to do too bad because of this change, but it's one of the bigger losers of the patch and a bit of a head-scratcher in my opinion. Let's talk about a big winner. We have Leafeon. In fact, we'll talk about two big winners here. Let's start with Leafeon. Leafeon is still doing really well inside of Pokemon Unite, and now with Aerial Ace being buffed, it feels like we have solid build setup for every single move for Leafeon, which I actually do love. And given the state of the game, I don't think Leafeon is our biggest problem right now. It's still a pretty, moderately high skill speedster, not the highest, but you actually have to know what you're doing a little bit to get this Pokemon to actually get a lot of value. It could see more competitive play because of this, but I think the biggest reason for that is a lot of the EX Pokemon are not going to see competitive play. In that sense, Leafeon is a big winner. It has some hollowware coming out very soon that actually looks pretty sick. El Chico Eevee showed the data mine for that, and I think that's probably why we haven't seen any Leafeon nerfs, even though, again, it's not the craziest Pokemon inside the game. The next Pokemon that's also a big winner, another speedster, Meowscarada. Meowscarada was already good. It was already really good. I was wondering what they were going to do because I thought, dang, with the Battle Pass coming out, they are going to buff this thing. And I have to say, I am pleasantly surprised with the buffs. Meowscarada is in no way so overpowered that you can't play anything else. It is very, very strong. And it's also inside of a meta with things that are unbelievably strong. I like its positioning, and again, speedsters are a little tough to play sometimes, so I don't think that this Pokemon is completely overtuned, even though I do think Meowscarada is definitely a top pick inside the game right now. An interesting loser for this patch is Scizor and Scyther. Scizor and Scyther also have some hollowware coming out soon, and I thought it would be a really good time for them to tune these Pokemon up and maybe make them more competitive, but unfortunately this patch completely missed them. Now, there is still time. From what I understand, their hollowware comes out in April, so we will have another patch before then which could actually address Scizor and Scyther. I don't want these Pokemon to be busted, and I don't want, just because hollowware is coming out, a Pokemon is tuned up in an insane way, but there's no question these Pokemon have been neglected for a while, and it would be really nice to actually see them get some love inside the game because I'd love to see them more competitive. I'm going to now talk about a slew of winners because the fact that nerfs didn't hit these Pokemon is shocking. Clefable, Umbreon, Glaceon, Blastoise, Inteleon, there's more, but wow. how did every top pick inside the game with massive win rates, like completely Neo from the Matrix style, avoid every nerf that was flying by them the whole time? It's kind of crazy to think about, but I think this patch was much more of a buff and add Miraidon patch than it was fixing anything that was overtuned. And with Miraidon being so unbelievably overtuned, it's kind of understandable that these Pokemon didn't receive a ton of nerfs. In general, every Pokemon I just listed there could also receive nerfs alongside of something like Crustle, Miraidon included. We're gonna have to see if they do that with the next patch inside the game or not. This one, I don't know if it's a winner or a loser. It's a bit of a head scratcher, and that's Trevenant. Trevenant got a nerf to Woodhammer, which is not good. A 1.5 second cooldown nerf is actually pretty massive. In a game that only focuses on cooldowns and has nothing to do with like a mana system or anything like that, the only time you can't use your move is when it's on cooldown. There's no other consideration. So that's usually a pretty big nerf. But I think Woodhammer is still really good. And then on the other side, it got Curse and Pain Split buffs. I have to say, overall, this feels like a positive patch for Trevenant, even though the Woodhammer nerf will be felt. So that one's a bit of a head scratcher. And let me give you my final sort of and that's going to be Mewtwo X and Y. Mewtwo X and Y did essentially receive a nerf, but just them coming back into the ranked mode, you could still see how powerful these Pokemon are. They're definitely not what they were when they released. They're not as powerful as Miraidon is right now, but these Pokemon are doing fairly well still, even with the change where Eos energy gets consumed when you Mega with these Pokemon. I think it's a nice change, but in general, they're still doing fine. It's one of those nerfs that just feels fair. Let's talk about maybe the biggest loser of this patch, and that's Charizard. I'm not sure exactly what Charizard's Unite move change did, but it's not what we hoped it would do, which is make its Unite move less easily cancelable. Its Unite move seems to be about the same, and then they've changed the way Muscle Band works. So Muscle Band now is not going to proc multiple times during Charizard's basic attack. It's only going to proc one time. This is essentially a patch that I think inadvertently, because this change was really for Phalanx coming to the game, this patch essentially nerfed Charizard. How can you nerf Charizard, a Pokemon that's desperately needed some love for a while? I'm not saying Charizard is bottom of the barrel terrible, but this Pokemon is just so beaten up and so forgotten by Unite at the moment. I really wish they would do something with Char. It is a huge loser in this and every patch. A Pokemon that got nerfed and is a loser of this patch is Dragapult. However, I will say, even with Dragapult's nerfed, I still feel like it's doing very, very well inside the game. I've seen it in a few matches. I've played with it a couple times since the patch, and I really don't think they've hurt it too much. In fact, this is probably actually a pretty reasonable change for this Pokemon. However, it did get nerfed, and it's being nerfed into a meta where lots of other things didn't get nerfed. Dragapult is definitely a loser here for that reason. You big loser, Dragapult. And another dragon that's a big loser, Dragonite. Now, it's not huge. It's a cooldown change on Hyper Beam. Fine. This Pokemon is seeing competitive play, but a lot of these balance changes truly are confusing, I guess, is the way to talk about it. We're nerfing Pokemon that aren't that oppressive while not nerfing the ones that are actually, taking over all of these games while adding in new broken Pokemon. It's just, it's the patch of all time. It's the Pokemon Day patch of all time. Finally, a few more winners of this patch. Comfey, without question, is a winner of this patch. Anytime there's something broken, like really, really broken, or with the EX Pokemon coming back, Comfey gets more value. And I don't know if it's just me, but I'm seeing way more Comfey inside games again. As soon as something is really busted, everyone's like, what if we put Comfey on it? So all of a sudden, I'm seeing Comfey back inside the game. It's not really a welcome sight, but at the same time, there are bigger fish to fry. Our final fish to fry that is a winner of this patch is Zachian. Last patch, Zachian kind of got gutted, and nobody really noticed it because we didn't play with Zachian in ranked once we hit master rank. Zachian and Mewtwo, they were gone, so we really kind of forgot about how big of a change removing Zacian's crit was and toning some of its moves down. This change is actually really nice for Zachian. It's weird to think of a nice change for Zachian, but with Metal Claw getting buffed and with Sacred Sword, as well as your base attack stats getting buffed as well, Zachian can actually compete with the other EX Pokemon inside the game, which in my opinion should be removed from the ranked mode of this game. Hey, check this out. Here's what I'm thinking. These Pokemon, they're like cool supercars, right? They're so fast, they get up to like 800 miles an hour. They're just not street legal. Can we just agree that these aren't street legal? They can be played in quick play, they can be played in standard, you can put them in the practice area. Fine, okay, you can play them in a bot match, but in the ranked mode, these things are not street legal. I think that's good. A hashtag street legal in the chat, man, make them not street legal. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. The winners and losers of this patch. It's been an interesting one, and boy, I hope we get another one soon. All right, I love you. See y'all next time. We did it.